shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Wait. God said you don't want to serve me, therefore you got to serve your enemies. Who is our enemies? There you go. And all the other nations. Don't think it's just the so-called white man. That's a sushi spot. Do we own that? No, we don't own it. God says, because you don't want to serve me, you got to go to your enemy. Read.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
God sent them against us. Why? Because we broke his commandments. Who took my father from his family, since we listen, in our spirits and in our mind, we know what these people did to us is evil.
Right.
But in the Christian church, they keep teaching, love your enemies, love your enemies. Who taught them to teach us that? In the churches on the slave plantation. I don't know if y'all ever seen slavery. They show you that the so-called white man was in the church listening to the pastor teach, making sure say it again. Birth of a Nation, making sure they don't go off script. Right. There's a script that they follow. Why all the churches always say, this is your year? Why they all say, it's a blessing coming your way? When do I ever tell you that? No, I ain't never seen none of these big major pastors go out and teach on the street about nothing that's happening in our community. Have y'all ever seen it? I ain't never seen them even go out to the community. You gotta go to them. And you gotta have a check with you. You better have some money with you. We ain't asking for no money. We want you to repent.
That's right.
We want you to come back to God. Go back to Deuteronomy 28, read verse 68. Whoever coming up next and get ready to come up. Watch this. Watch this right here. Somebody come hold this out. Watch this. You gotta listen to this. Don't leave yet. Right? Deuteronomy 28.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 6.
Oh, wait. Go back to 46. Let's finish that real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. Read.
Verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So the curses will be on our people for a sign forever. Read.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Wait. God said you don't want to serve me, therefore you got to serve your enemies. Who is our enemies? There you go. And all the other nations. Don't think it's just the so-called white man. That's a sushi spot right there. Do we own that? No, we don't own it. God says, because you don't want to serve me, you got to go to your enemy. Read.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
God sent them against us. Why? Because we broke his commandments. We refuse to repent. We refuse to do what God says to do. Read.
In hunger.
So in hunger, we got to go to the sushi spot.
What's some of them been in our script though?
Okay. Let's say, for instance, all our people go in here and buy food from that. What happens? They get a lot of money from that, right? Does that money go back to the community for our people? No. What benefit do we get, huh?
I was saying they send it back home to their people.
There you go. So they come in and they exploit off of us and leave us what? Desolate and at the bottom. You understand? You gotta understand. We gotta be kingdom mindset. If this is our stuff, if this is our stores and our communities, like they all do, there's a Chinatown in New York. There's a so-called Jewish. They got their own communities. But when it comes to us, we go, well, why can't the other nations come in and exploit us? Because this is what it stems from. That's what that stems from. This is them exploiting us right here too. We gotta stop that. That's a curse when you gotta go to people who hate you to get everything you need. Read.
And in thirst, and in nakedness.
So in thirst, the water that we drink, we gotta go to our enemy for. And in clothing, do we own textile? Do we own any of this stuff? No. We gotta go to our enemy for. Read.
And in want of all things.
And anything that you possibly want. A birth certificate, a death certificate. If you want a passport to leave this country, you gotta get permission, don't you? You ain't finna just go to Africa. You better have a passport, and they're gonna send your butt right back to the house. You ain't going nowhere. You gotta have a passport to leave this place. Read.
And he shall put
and he. So the specific enemy that we're talking about, he shall do what?
shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
For how long?
Until he have destroyed thee.
He shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he destroyed you. Do we have yokes of iron on our neck right now? No, physically, do we? No. But what do we call ourselves? African American, Haitian. We call ourselves West Indian, all this. God didn't call us that.
Right.
So when we stop understanding who we were, okay, we can take the chains off. They ain't gonna read. They don't know who they are. We got them. That's why it says until he have destroyed thee. That's it.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, jump to 68, and then somebody else will come up. 68, watch this. Kala, you hold this sign for me real quick. Hold this sign for me real quick. Watch this. How do we get to America? Airplane?
From the beginning.
On a ship, right? Watch this. This is a King James Version Bible. Everybody had King James Version Bibles growing up in your house. A lot of them probably had dust. I don't know mine.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Into Egypt, when you read the scriptures, Exodus 20, Egypt is synonymous for slavery or bondage. Because remember, when we left Egypt during Moses' time, was we on a boat or did we walk out? No, we walked out of Egypt, right? We left. So he says, I'm going to bring you into Egypt or slavery again. Read.
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
It says, I'm going to bring you into slavery on ships. What nation of people did that happen to in the entirety of history?
Bring it out.
It only happened to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Right. It only happened to us. Look it up. Nobody went into slavery on cargo slave ships. Nobody else, except blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's it. Because remember, when Christopher Columbus came to this side, Northern Kingdom was already here. Right. So they killed them and enslaved them and took them to Spain. So they had to take that journey on the ship, just like the so-called blacks in Africa had to what? Come this way too. Right. We all was on slave ships. Right. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there,
once you get off the slave ships, once you get off the journey, what's this? What they say right there, sis? What they say right there? To be sold. When we got off the slave ships, we were what?
And they should be sold unto your enemies.
Unto your enemies.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
We were sold for slave men and slave women. That's what happened to the Israelites.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is